Tonight, we're doing some things a little differently. So, Steven just mentioned that he's going to be working tonight. So, not but about maybe half an hour ago. So, I apologize. I got home late. So, I also was taking care of the kids on my own tonight. So, I didn't get finished up here until just before 9 when my wife showed up back home and I had to help her get some things taken care of before a big winter storm. So, we're expecting between 1 and 2 feet today, tonight and in the morning. So we are going to do things a little differently tonight, so I apologize. I wish I had one of those gyroscopic, tools to keep everything nice and level, but I don't. So tonight we're going to be taking a look around my hobby space, so kind of get an idea as to what I've been working on here lately as far as for the Cherokee Open. I know that we've been posting some prizes here recently, so as far as the templates, so we have hosted a couple of those bases, but of course I still haven't gotten any more done, unfortunately. I take that back because I just put a little bit of paint on these bases while talking to Steve and trying to figure out what to do tonight. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm just going to be doing things for a little bit. So, of course, I can not have to hold a camera while trying to do this. So this is the first time we've done it. I apologize, but I'll show you around here real quick. Actually, looks like we don't have a viewer quite yet. So I'll just keep on doing my thing. I'm going to start airbrushing some stuff. So as you guys know, so we've been working a little bit on the Cherokee Open stuff. So let me get this camera flipped around here. So tonight we're going to be taking this pretty little base from gray to white and some shades of blues, and then I'm going to be basing it here so that we can have a snow base. So let's get my airbrush. I've already taken my Badger 105 airbrush, so I've got that set up with just an old Masters compressor. So pretty common. I think you'll find that it is off. Oh, goodness. One moment, guys. Let me turn that back on. Or is it? Nope, it's not off. I just can't hear with my headset on, so sorry. So we're going to start by painting this up. I've got white ink in it, so this is actually just an Amsterdam white acrylic ink. So I find that white is typically a hard color to get a good even spread on, and honestly, I don't want it to be exactly even in this case. So, in fact, I don't mind the little speckling. It's not going to matter all that much in the end, just because of the effect we're looking to go for. So, let me reload this. So, the inks are also nice. So, this is one of my first attempts using ink here recently. I actually started doing some Clone Troopers, so which are hard to see close up, but I'll put it on up here. There, that's better. I don't know what I was doing. So, but yeah, it comes off, it's a little chalkier than I'm used to with a traditional acrylic paint. Again, I know that you guys are expecting X-Wing, so I appreciate your understanding here as I just kind of do some hobbying tonight. We're just going to be working on this base here. So like I was saying, Steven is out. I'll show you guys around a little bit as well. I could kind of show off my hobby space just a tad bit, so it's not quite where I want it, but it is coming along nicely here over time. So I'm putting a nice white coat all over this base because we are going to be doing snow, so we don't want to show that gray coming through. It doesn't have to be super consistent because we do want some, striations and so forth. We don't want it to be just white. So that is not the effect that we're going for. And so I do have to say, so for PLA, which is just the extruded plastic, so over resin, so I thought it came out pretty darn nice. So putting that coat on, a little more white in here. Need to add some thinner probably and just a tad bit more. And so as you can tell, I've been working in blue. All right. Actually, it was pretty cool. So we were working on a Pokemon cartridge, which is what I think Steven had mentioned in our last stream that I should finish it up so you guys can take a peek. It is pretty slick. I'll show you guys here in a minute. Trying to get this base, the edges covered. Okay, not too bad for a start. And so, next we're going to be taking this white. So I'm going to let it dry for just a few seconds here. So between coats, it's pretty darn simple to handle. So we're going to take a quick peek around right now. Hey, Tim, how are you? So, well, as of late, so I've had my computer moved out here. So I've got 2 of my 3D printers. So I've got the other one at the office where I can keep an eye on things. It does pretty darn good. So this was printed on here. This actually was a secondary base to one of my most recent projects, which was this cool dice tower. And so, got some My Castle Panic going on over here. Check it out. It's fun. So I'm going to give it another 10 seconds or so, and we're going to put on a coat. So again, I'm sorry for the shaky cam. So I was not prepared. All right. So we're going to do a little more white in the airbrush. I'm going to thin it down a tad with some airbrush thinner. And then I'm going to hit it with a single drop of blue. So, Tim, I was using for white specifically. White's super hard. I know if you ever do clones, you'll find out. But this ink turns out really darn well. So I use a titanium white. So it's Amsterdam brand. So you can find it at any Hobby Lobby. Apparently it's $6.99 at Hobby Lobby. And so I'm pretty impressed. So my clones are coming up pretty well with it. I think it needs another coat, but you get the idea. So there's the start of the base. I'm going to add a single drop of blue. I typically use Vallejo Game Air. So I got the big case here. So I think it was like 150-ish approximately. So I'm a fan. It works really well. All right, give me 2 seconds. I'm grabbing my brush to mix this up a tad. You can always backfill it or backfeed it. So, all right, this might be a tad bit bluer than I expected. I think I got more than one drop. Doing this one-handed is a little harder than it looks. So we're gonna go pretty light on our coat. I promise if I ever do this again, so I will have a better setup. So it's got a lot of white in here. You'll see that it's starting to get that blue tint, which is exactly what we want. We want to kind of vary it a little bit. We just want to get some blue shading to it. We do not want too much. And we definitely don't want it to do that. But again, so I'll be covering most of this with some snow and some ice crystals, and I've actually got some resin that I'll be dyeing to get the right ice effect. So in fact, I'll show you guys in a second. So my low key for Marvel Crisis Protocol, so that you can get an idea as to what I'll be going for with the base. So this is just our rough first coat. Okay, so we've got a little bit of blue on here. It's kind of what we're going for. All right, we'll clean that out here in a minute. So while we're waiting for that to dry, I'll show you a couple other things. Like I said, I've got my low-key miniature up here somewhere, and he's staring me in the face. Here we go. So I'm going to be going for a similar base. Mind you, this yellow has spread from his foot. I don't know what it is about specifically the Turbo Dork paints, but the gold that I used from Turbo Dork just wants to spread right through this. But you'll get the idea. So on the base, so I've got a clear resin, so which is the light blue. On here I've got the snowflakes, and then I've got a snow effect, so throughout. So we'll be doing some highlighting and so forth on some of the tops of that. And then, like I said, it's got this really cool frost effect that if you look on the underside right here, comes out really cool. So I've got some really cool effects that we can do. And I fully plan on applying here. So here in a minute, once this dries, I'm going to start by basing with some Army Painter Snow. So I am a big fan of the Army Painter stuff. So they come, they're found in most hobby stores. So not Hobby Lobby perhaps, but some of the more specific ones. If we're ever doing grass, I've got plenty of basing. I don't know what it is about basing, but I find it quite fun. And if you ever do get into it, I highly recommend up there on top. So our AK stuff is great. So they've got some great corrosion effects, some water effects. The ice sparkles are awesome. The puddle effects are awesome too, which won't come into play, but their AK puddle effects are great. So unfortunately, they are a little hard to come by. I just so happened last summer, my brother's town, apparently the guy is a miniature fan who owns the Ace. I have never found AK terrain outside of online, but it is the first Ace Hardware I ever found a really, really, really good section for miniature hobbying. So, all right, as far as this one's concerned, so this one's looking pretty good. I'm going to let it dry here a little longer. I've got the first coat. I started working on the spider. And so here the other day, so I've got some blue to it. I need to go back through. I'm actually going to add some white to this airbrush here real quick, and I'm going to try to tone that down. I'm also going to get the underside here in just a second. So I'm going to get this loaded up. Tim, I wish it was a little more organized, so I'm still working on things. My wife started a work-at-home job here in October, and I kind of got my office and my game stuff all shoved into the garage in my hobby space. So I've got an awesome Mandalorian bust that I actually need to paint. And so that's my game collection. So it is ever expanding. And so game table I got off of my store when they closed. And then there's my paint wall. So I carry a lot of the contrast range for painting. So I've also got all my stuff organized by dry brush, base, your textures over here. So that's where we'll be getting some of our textures. So the Valhalla and Blizzard does a really good snow effect. So I'll probably have to buy some more before I'm done here. You get your Turbo Dork stuff. I actually got the display stand from my store when they closed down. I didn't used to have all this, but I've 3D printed all my brush holders and so forth. I've got my grass effects, my bushes, so my alien grass effects. Yeah, so it's mostly organized, mostly. So, but like I said, I'm going to add some white over here, and then we're going to get this spider done up a little more. I did not buy the whole store. No. So I would have probably bought more, but my wife was there, and I had already bought the table for like $200 and bought their entire collection of Turbo Dork out. So no, I wasn't going to buy any more. Oh, Tim, since you're watching, I'm not lying. I have painted this guy. This sword has broken off like 4 times. So he's huge, too, compared to our other standard miniatures. Here's the Mando that I started for my son. So this is a standard 32 millimeter. So versus our, what do we call those? But the giant miniatures, we had a name for it. But yes, so his sword has broken off here. My kid's broke off the foot. So I had it almost all done. And then the sword broke off again. So it exists. I'm not kidding. So, all right. Well, let's get this going here real quick. So I'm going to, I added more white. Let me just set this down here real quick, guys. Again, I'm sorry. This is totally last minute, and I know it, and I'm sorry. Production quality is going to be a little lacking. All right, so I'm just mixing up my paint, adding a little white to that blue. So honestly, my first blue I went with was a little dark. I was hoping to go for more of a light blue, and that came out a little darker than I wanted. So I'm going to tone it down a bit here. So we're going to see what we can do. I'm going to quit talking for a second. Well, my air compressor does its thing. We're going to highlight some of these higher areas. So when I originally started this, so on the back side, you can kind of see that I had the light source coming from this back corner here. So we're going to hit some of these higher surfaces. So we're going to hit some of these higher surfaces with a little more white than I do other sections. So I just started with this Badger 105. So I got it for a Black Friday deal. I traditionally would use a Sotar, which is a much more of a detail brush. And so more so than this one, which is kind of a general coating. So I'm just kind of getting the hang of it. It is splattering, unfortunately, a little more than I like, which white is just difficult because white has so much pigment in it in general. So especially with this brush, it's a little more complicated, unfortunately. So, and just so you guys know, I don't know why I'm a glutton for punishment, but I took on another project. So I think we're going to be doing another prize. I don't know how Steven's going to use it. I'll leave that up to him. But I have been printing, and you guys might have seen it while I'm waiting for this to dry a little bit. You might have seen it, but check out these huge Game Boy cartridges I've been printing. They're ginormous. I mean, here's my hand. My hand, it's huge. So I've got that one. This one is just because I didn't have a color printer. And so I just printed that for fun. Here is a classic Nes cartridge. So, and then I've got a couple other Game Boy ones. But they all are wall hangers. So you can actually hang these on your wall. So I'm going to be finishing up a couple of those, but I believe we'll be giving one away for Cherokee Open as a prize of some sort, and it's going to be a Star Wars. It's not going to be a Pokemon. So I'm going to make a Star Wars, probably Game Boy cartridge, because that is the clearest image I've been able to find. So, but those are kind of the most popular things I've seen out there. So I had to buy the models because I just thought they were so cool. My little Masters compressor is working overtime tonight. I never noticed how loud it was until I do a stream. So I'm trying to keep the center a little less coated because, of course, we're going to have more shadows in the center. I'm trying to keep this front end a little darker as well. So for anybody who is interested in this, it's really not all terribly that expensive. If you do any kind of miniatures, it's kind of it's not a requirement, but I highly recommend it. It's great for base coating. You don't have to pay quite as much for your spray paints. And so, I mean, one can of GW. Also spray paint, which I have a couple sitting over on my lots and lots of spray paints because they're fun. But so they I mean, it's $22 for a can of GW. So it gets pricey quick. Hey, you have a good night. I'll be cutting out here in just a few minutes. I just wanted to make certain that you guys know that we are here and we are doing things. So again, we apologize. Stephen happened to be working tonight. So, but right now we've got a big push for the Cherokee Open. I know you're probably tired of us talking about it. Maybe not. So hope not. So, but we're gonna have a lot of cool pricing that I've been working on, and we've got a lot of cards coming. So you guys have all seen those. We've got some people who are also donating a handful of things as well. And so, but yeah, it's kind of what we're working on. So there is the start of that giant spider. And so, originally the plan was just to stick them on this base. I still don't think it's a bad idea. It kind of looks freaking cool. And so, especially if you go toss yourself a miniature on there, preferably more of an action pose. And so, but yeah. So, yeah, Tim's going to be there. And so, that's exciting. Maybe I'll finish this guy and ship him to Steven to hand out to you when you finally get it. I literally just have a little more of the tattooing to do on his back of his head, and then get this reattached well. So again, I do apologize, but we'll get it to you. So just slow and steady. But guys, like I said, I know this was uncommon, so I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to just cut out here tonight. If you guys, well, any questions? Anybody have any questions about any of my methods, any of the products that I use? All of it. All of what? Oh, thank you. So I appreciate it. I wish I had more time to do this stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's relaxing. So that's the best part about this stuff. And that's kind of why I took it up, is just because, I mean, like I said, I've got 4 kids, so things are typically busy. This just is a way to just get a little bit of me time and just relax. And I swear I could pass hours just painting. So, not necessarily the best at it. I enjoy actually doing a lot of hobbying, terrain and stuff. So, but, oh, before I go, this is 3/4 finished. Well, it's primed. Y-wing. So it's huge. And so, but I think I've shown off my finished model, but this one is actually the flying one on a flying GW stand. So this will get finished at some point, but as will many of my things, as you can see. So ships, there's my wall of shame. So it's quite extensive. So there's that Yoda that you finished up, Tim. I'll get it all painted someday. That's what they all say, though. But anyways, well, guys, again, thanks for joining me. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to just ask. I'd be happy to answer any of my hobbying stuff. I really do need to get some of these ships painted. So I think it would be a lot of fun to paint these little guys. These are actually on a much, much smaller scale than even these miniatures. So I'm a little intimidated, I won't lie. But, well, all right, guys. Thanks again for joining me. So you guys have a great night. Sleep tight, and don't let the bed bugs bite.